The Worldwide Fund for Nature is an international non-governmental organization founded on April 26, 1961, and is working on issues regarding the conservation, research and restoration of the environment, formerly named the World Wildlife Fund, which remains its official name in Canada and the United States. It is the world's largest independent conservation organization with over 5 million supporters worldwide, working in more than 100 countries, supporting around 1,300 conservation and environmental projects. WWF is a foundation, in 2010 deriving 57% of funding from individuals and bequests, 17% from government sources and 11% from corporations. The group's mission is to stop the degradation of the planet unregistered trademark S natural environment and to build a future in which humans live in harmony with nature. Currently, much of its work focuses on the conservation of 3 biomes that contain most of the world's biodiversity: oceans and coasts, forests, and freshwater ecosystems. Among other issues, it is also concerned with endangered species, pollution and climate change. History: the idea for a fund on behalf of endangered animals was initially proposed by Victor Stolen de Sir Julian Huxley in response to articles he published in the British newspaper The Observer. This proposal led Huxley to put Stolen in contact with Max Nicholson, a person that had had 30 years' experience of linking progressive intellectuals with big business interests through the political and economic planning think tank. Nicholson thought up the name of the organization. WWF was conceived on April 29, 1961, under the name of World Wildlife Fund, and its first office was opened on September 11 that same year in Morges, Switzerland. Godfrey A. Rockefeller also played an important role in its creation, assembling the first staff. Its establishment marked with the signing of the founding document called Morges Manifesto that lays out the formulation ideas of its establishment. A. They need above all money, to carry out missions and to meet conservation emergencies by buying land where wildlife treasures are threatened, money, for example, to pay guardians of wildlife refuges. For educations among those who would care. For sending experts to danger spots and training. Making it all possible that their needs are met before it is too late. Morges Manifesto, WWF has set up offices and operations around the world. It originally worked by fundraising and providing grants to existing non-governmental organizations, based on the best available scientific knowledge and with an initial focus on the protection of endangered species. As more resources became available, its operations expanded into other areas such as the preservation of biological diversity, sustainable use of natural resources, the reduction of pollution, and climate change. The organization also began to run its own conservation projects and campaigns, and by the 1980s started to take a more strategic approach to its conservation activities. In 1986, the organization changed its name to Worldwide Fund for Nature, to better reflect the scope of its activities, retaining the WWF initials. However, it continues to operate under the original name in the United States and Canada. That year was the 25th anniversary of WWF unregistered trademark S Foundation, an event marked by a gathering in Assisi, Italy, to which the organization unregistered trademark S International President HRH Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, invited religious authorities representing Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam and Judaism. These leaders produced the Assisi Declarations, theological statements showing the spiritual relationship between their followers and nature that triggered a growth in the engagement of those religions with conservation around the world. In the 1990s, WWF revised its mission to stop the degradation of the planet unregistered trademark S natural environment and to build a future in which humans live in harmony with nature, by cent conserving the world's biological diversity, cent ensuring that the use of renewable natural resources is sustainable, cent promoting the reduction of pollution and wasteful consumption. WWF scientists and many others identified 238 ecoregions that represent the world's most biologically outstanding terrestrial, freshwater and marine habitats, based on a worldwide biodiversity analysis, which the organization says was the first of its kind. In the early 2000s, its work was focused on a subset of these ecoregions, in the areas of forest, freshwater and marine habitat conservation, endangered species conservation, climate change, and the elimination of the most toxic chemicals. We shan't save all we should like to, but we shall save a great deal more than if we had never tried. Sir Peter Scott. In 1996, the organization obtained general consultative status from UNESCO. Panda's symbol. The giant panda mascot of WWF originated from a panda named Chi Chi that was transferred from the Beijing Zoo to the London Zoo in the same year of the establishment of WWF. As the only giant panda residing in the Western world at that time, along with its physical features and status as an endangered species, Panda is seen to serve the need of a strong recognizable symbol of the organization. Moreover, the organization also needs an animal that would have an impact in black and white printing. The logo was then designed by Sir Peter Scott from the preliminary sketches made by a Scottish naturalist, Gerald Watterson. Current conservation approach. WWF's current strategy for achieving its mission specifically focuses on restoring populations of 36 species, and ecological footprint in 6 areas. The organization also works on a number of global issues driving biodiversity loss and unsustainable use of natural resources, including finance, business practices, laws, and consumption choices. Local offices also work on national or regional issues. WWF works with a large number of different groups to achieve its goals, including other NGOs, governments, business, investment banks, scientists, fishermen, farmers and local communities. It also undertakes public campaigns to influence decision-makers, and seeks to educate people on how to live in a more environmentally friendly manner. It urges people to donate funds to protect the environment. The donors can also choose to receive gifts in return. Publications. WWF publishes the Living Planet Index in collaboration with the Zoological Society of London. Along with their ecological footprint calculations, the index is used to produce a 2-yearly Living Planet report to give an overview of the impact of human activity on the world. The organization also regularly publishes reports, fact sheets and other documents on issues related to its work, in order to raise awareness and provide information to policy and decision makers. Policy making. Policies of the WWF are made by the board members who are elected for 3-year terms. The executive teams guides and develops WWF strategy. There is also a national council which stands as an advisory group to the board, and finally a team of scientists and experts in conservation who research for WWF. National and international law plays an important role in determining how habitats and resources are managed and used. Laws and regulations become one of the organization unregistered trademark's global priorities. The organization convinces and helps governments and other political bodies to adopt, enforce, strengthen and/or change policies, guidelines and laws that affect biodiversity and natural resource use. It also ensures the governments to consent and/or keep their commitment to international instruments relating to the protection of biodiversity and natural resources. In 2012, David Nussbaum, chief executive of WWF UK, spoke out against the way shale gas is used in the UK, saying, "The government must reaffirm its commitment to tackling climate change and prioritise renewables and energy efficiency." Criticism. WWF has been accused by a number of environmental groups and campaigners, such as Corporate Watch and Peer Watch, of being too close to businesses to campaign objectively. WWF claims partnering with companies such as Coca-Cola, Lafarge and IKEA will reduce their impact on the environment. WWF received a $56 million from corporations in 2010, accounting for 11% of total revenue for the year. Project Lock. In 1988, Prince Bernhard, former president of the WWF, sold paintings for £700,000 to raise money for the World Wildlife Fund. The money was deposited in a Swiss WWF bank account. In 1989, Charles de Haes, Director General of the WWF, transferred £500,000 back to Bernhard, for what de Haes called a private project. In 1991, it was revealed that Prince Bernhard had used the money for an operation called Project Lock to hire KAS International, owned by SAS founder David Sterling, to use mercenaries mostly British to fight poachers in nature reserves. Mekong River Dolphins Report. In June 2009, Touch Sangtana, chairman of Cambodia's Commission for Conservation and Development of the Mekong River Dolphins Ecotourism Zone, charged that the WWF had misrepresented the danger of extinction of the Mekong dolphin in order to boost fundraising. He called the WWF report unscientific and harmful to the Cambodian government. He also threatened the Cambodian branch of WWF with suspension unless they met with him to discuss his charges. Touch Sangtana later said he would not go forward with false information charges, and would not make any attempt to prevent WWF from continuing its work in Cambodia since it had been a communication issue between the organizations alleging WWF documents did not sufficiently explain the findings in the reports. After this, in January 2012, they signed the Kratai Declaration on the Conservation of the Mekong River Irrawaddy dolphin along with WWF and the Cambodian Fisheries Administration, an agreement binding them to work together, and setting out a roadmap for dolphin conservation in the Mekong River. ARD documentary. The German public television ARD aired a documentary on June 22, 2011, showing how the WWF cooperates with corporations such as Monsanto, providing sustainability certification in exchange for donations. WWF has denied the allegations. By encouraging high-impact ecotourism, the program alleges that WWF contributes to the destruction of habitat and species it claims to protect. WWF India is not active at the Tiger Reserve given as the example, but it is active elsewhere seeking to limit adverse tourism impacts and better sharing of tourism benefits to local communities. The program also alleges WWF certified a palm oil plantation operated by Wilmar International, a Singaporean company, on the Indonesian island of Borneo, even though the establishment of the plantation led to the destruction of over 14,000 hectares of rainforest. Only 80 hectares were ultimately conserved, the ARD documentary claims. According to the program, 2 orangutans live on the conserved land, but have very slim chances of survival because no fruit trees remain and the habitat is too small to sustain them. To survive, they steal palm nuts from the neighboring plantation, thereby risking being shot by plantation workers. WWF notes that the plantation filmed as PT Rimba Harapan Sakti, which has not been certified as a sustainable producer by the Round Table on Sustainable Palm Oil. Aerial photographs show that around 4,000 hectares, or about a third of the forest cover, has been conserved. Hunting. The President of Honor of WWF in Spain used to be King Juan Carlos I, who has been a known hunting enthusiast since 1962. In that year, when he was 24 years old, he was invited by the German Baron Werner von Alvensleben to a hunt in Mozambique. Since then the king has taken part in hunting forays in Africa and Eastern Europe. In October 2004 he was a member of a hunt in Romania that killed a wolf and 9 brown bears, including one that was pregnant, according to the Romanian newspaper Romania Libra. He was also accused by a Russian official of killing a bear called Mitrofan, supposedly after giving vodka to the animal, in an episode that sparked controversy in Spain, although the claim was never proven. In the same year, according to The Guardian, the Polish government allowed him to kill a European bison in Białowieża 1/4 forest, even though it is an endangered species. Further controversy arose in April 2012 when the king's participation in an elephant hunt in Botswana was discovered only after he returned to Spain on an emergency flight after tripping over a step and fracturing his hip. Many Spanish environmentalist groups and leftist parties criticized the monarch's hobby, and the WWF stripped him of the honorary position in July 2012, in an extraordinary assembly by 94% of the votes of the members. Prince Charles, the UK head of the WWF, is also a keen hunter. He is known to stick to the legal British traditional hunting and speaks out against hunting endangered species. Presidents. 1001 Club. In the early 1970s, Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands and Prince Philip of the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada etc., together with a few associates, set up the 1001 Nature Trust, its purpose being to cover the administrative and fundraising aspects of the WWF. The club garnered 1,001 members who each contributed $10,000 to the trust. WWF initialism dispute. In 2000, the Worldwide Fund for Nature sued the World Wrestling Federation for unfair trade practices. Both parties had shared the initials WWF since 1979. The conservation organization claimed that the wrestling company had violated a 1994 agreement regarding international use of the WWF initials. On August 10, 2001, a UK court ruled in favour of the Worldwide Fund for Nature. The World Wrestling Federation filed an appeal in October 2001. However, on May 5, 2002, the World Wrestling Federation changed its web address from wwf.com to wwe.com, and replaced every WWF reference on the existing site with WWE, as a prelude to changing the company's name to World Wrestling Entertainment. Its stock ticker also switched from WWF to WWE. Abandonment of the initialism did not end the two organizations' legal conflict. Later in 2002, the Worldwide Fund for Nature petitioned the court for $360 million in damages, but was not successful. A subsequent request to overturn by the Worldwide Fund for Nature was dismissed by the British Court of Appeal on June 28, 2007. In 2003, World Wrestling Entertainment won a limited decision which permitted them to continue marketing certain pre-existing products with the abandoned WWF logo. However, WWE was mandated to issue newly branded merchandise such as apparel, action figures, video games, and DVDs with the WWE initials. Additionally, the court order required the company to remove both auditory and visual references to WWF in its library of video footage outside the United Kingdom. Starting with the 1000th episode of Raw in July 2012, the WWF scratch logo is no longer censored in archival footage. In addition, the WWF initials are no longer censored when spoken or when written in plain text in archival footage. In exchange, WWE is no longer permitted to use the WWF initials or logo in any new, original footage, packaging, or advertising, with any old-school logos for retro-themed programming now using the original WWF logo, but modified without the F. WWF in music. No One's Gonna Change Our World was a charity album released in 1969 for the benefit of the WWF. Peter Rose and Anne Conlon are music theatre writers, well known for their environmental musicals for children, who were commissioned by WWF UK to write several environmental musicals as part of an education plan. Some were narrated by Sir David Attenborough, and broadcast on television in numerous countries. The British pop group S Club 7 were ambassadors for WWF UK during their time together as a band. Each of the members sponsored an endangered animal, and in 2000 they travelled to the various locations around the world of their chosen animals for a 7-part BBC documentary series entitled S Club 7 Go Wild. Environmentally Sound, a select anthology of songs inspired by the Earth is a benefit album released in 2006 for WWF Philippines, featuring artists that included Up Dharma Down, Radioactive Sago Project, Kala, Cynthia Alexander, and Joey Ayala. In June 2012, WWF launched an online music download store with fair share music from which 50% of the profit goes to the charity. Notable programs and campaigns: Debt for Nature Swap, Earth Hour, Healthy Grown, Marine Stewardship Council, WWF Global Initiatives. In 2008, through the Global Program Framework, WWF is now focusing its efforts on 13 global initiatives: Amazon, Arctic, China for a Global Shift, Climate and Energy, Coastal East Africa, Coral Triangle, Forest and Climate, Green Heart of Africa, Heart of Borneo, Living Himalayas, Market Transformation, Smart Fishing, Tigers, see also. Centers of Plant Diversity, Conservation Movement, Environmental Movement, Eugene Green Energy Standard founded by WWF, Global 200, ecoregions identified by the WWF as priorities for conservation, natural environment, sustainability, Traffic, the Wildlife Trade Monitoring Network, is a joint program of WWF and IUCN, the World Conservation Union, World Conservation Award, created in conjunction with the WWF, West Coast Environmental Law, Environmental Dispute Resolution Fund, references. External links, media related to WWF at Wikimedia Commons, panda.org, WWF International website, World Wildlife, the corporate headquarters of WWF listing board members, WWF Mobile, WWF International mobile website, WWF's channel on YouTube, WWF's global network, WWF UK, WWF, UK, registered charity number 1,081,247 at the Charity Commission. WWF Scotland, WWF India.